Perception Shifting, Beca Lewis on rewriting your story and finding your voice. Are you ready to rewrite your narrative? Join us as we welcome Beca Lewis, an author and coach who empowers individuals to shift their perceptions and create more meaningful lives. Beca reminds us that what we perceive to be reality magnifies and guides us to take ownership of our experiences. Discover how perception shifting can help you find your authentic voice, understand yourself as a spiritual and energetic being, and confidently speak your truth. Explore Beca's insights on navigating intense emotions and discerning the one truth from the one lie. Prepare for an inspiring conversation that will help you rewrite your story and shape a reality filled with joy and abundance. Welcome to the Wellness Driven Life Show, where you're about to go on a wellness driven ride. Welcome to the Wellness Driven Life Show. Let me share a little bit about the incredible guests that we have with us today. Beca Lewis is an author, coach, and speaker dedicated to shifting perceptions of possibility. With a diverse background that includes dance and choreography, MA from UCLA, and 20 years as a certified financial planner, she now focuses on writing and teaching the principles of the shift, a course she developed in 1992. Throughout her books, blogs, podcasts, Shift the Story and Shifting Stories, and coaching, Beca empowers individuals to rewrite their stories and create more meaningful lives. I am so pleased to welcome to our stage today, Miss Beca Lewis. Welcome.
Thank you. That was really cool. It's like, who is this person? Thank you.
It's you. You are welcome.
So what would you like to know?
Yes, I want to get started by sharing a little bit about you with the audience so they can get to know you more. But I also want to bring this really powerful aspect of what I have experienced in regards to you. So I'm going to share a little bit about that with the audience right off the bat so they have an understanding of why you're here up on the Wellness Driven Life stage today. And I happened to come across some of your works, and I was so moved that I literally, Beca, was bawling my eyes out for half a day and felt this deep relation and this deep sense of knowing myself more in a different lens, because I felt this relation with you in regards to so much of what you shared in your story and how that's affected you throughout life and how you started to shift your own perspective of things and how, you're just this beautiful, lovely light of wisdom beaming in the world. And I had to bring you here. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. I just wanted to give that sense, that root cause of why we have you here today, because I love your work. I love the things that you bring up, and we're all about reality shifting here on the show, because that's the essence of how we create the realities that we really truly desire and want to be living out and experiencing. So tell us a little bit more so we can get to know you.
Wow. I don't know if anybody has ever told me that before. So I'm glad that it made a difference for you. And sometime you're going to have to tell me exactly what that was. But I think that really what you just said is why I do what I do, which I think actually everybody does why they do what they do, because when you get right down to it, whatever it is they're doing, that somebody, you make a difference in somebody's life. I don't know what, I mean, you can have big goals and you can have little goals, but I think the main reason that I'm going to say are here is that we make a difference for other people. And sometimes that's hard and sometimes that's easy, but it's easier if you just decide this is what I'm doing here. So you asked me how I got started, and I think I always thought about perception as being something that made a difference. I drove my mom crazy because she would say something and I'd say, this is when I was like 8. But if you thought about it this way, it would be different. And she didn't like that. Um, so I started thinking about it way back when I was just a kid. And then just over the years, I collected more and more proof for myself that it's all about perception, and that it's in our own thinking, that I don't know what else you can control. There's nothing. The world is not in our control. Other people are not in our control, and we waste our time trying to do that. So the only thing I know how to do is shift the way I see the world. And since I think the world is an outcome of how we see the world, then if I spend time shifting how I see the world, then the world will be an outcome of how I shifted myself to a better perception. But you mentioned that I started teaching the shift in 1992, and that was really a result of years of talking to people and collecting quotes and listening to what other people said. And I'm sure it was somewhat of a confirmation bias on my part, but just trying to understand it more. But in 1990, somewhere in that 1990, I was sitting in my little room in downtown LA, and I heard this voice say, "Now it's time to start teaching." And I said no. And I heard it every day, and I kept saying no. And then finally I said, all right, but who would ever want to know this stuff? And the answer was, you have a few friends who will come to your classes. And that's really how it got started. And once I got over myself and said, yes, it's just been a really step by step. It's not an overnight anything at all. It's just step by step. Do this, then try this, then try this. Um, and it's easier as I go along, but not in a way, because you're always asking to do more. But really, it was just that I finally said yes. And I think everybody has that moment where they're hearing in their, whether you hear a voice or you have an intuition. I say I hear it, but it's really more of like a thing that you just know. And I think everybody has it. And I think everybody says no a lot before they get around to saying yes. So step really, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's that fear that builds up all of the other voices in the head that are more dominant and prominent, that
Right.
say, no, you can't, or who do you think you are, or,
You're a
you know,
woman, you're too old, you're too young, nobody
you
will
don't
listen
have
to
the
you.
resources.
Right,
Yeah,
right, all that stuff. Yeah, there's
all that
plenty of
stuff.
reasons why not to, but there is only one reason to do it, because that's what you're here to do. So just get over it and start.
Mm. Well, I love this, and I really enjoy that we're going in this direction, because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot, and as an entrepreneur, and the challenges and the difficulties with it, and but all of the beauty in it as well. So when you are going in the direction that you feel divinely guided, even though it might not make sense, and everything around you is maybe trying to push, stop or tell you otherwise, right? Just like we kind of hinted on just now. But you mentioned that it's a long journey. This is not an overnight success. And somebody told me, April, look at this as a 7-year uh, project goal.
Yeah,
And I thought that was one of the smartest things to tell me, because if I think of it as being, oh, this is going to, take a few months or even a few years to get going and rock it, then that's okay. Maybe I can do that. But it could be this drastically long-term goal. But once you get there, it's going to be amazing if you just keep going. So I really like that we're talking about this, because it's that those little, like you said, you don't know if it's a voice or just something, just this knowing, that higher self, the intuition, giving you these nudges of this is where you should be going. So share a little bit about what that was like for you moving forward, those little nudges, that guidance, and how you perceive that overall, like on a soul aspect. How do you perceive what that is for us being in this physical form?
Yeah. Let me see how I can answer that easily. Is it easy to answer? I don't know if it is, but I think it really is. It doesn't matter actually if you end up where you think you want to go. It's like I moved from when I was growing up. I grew up in State College, Pennsylvania, which is where Penn State is, and then I knew that I needed to go to California, so I moved my whole family across to California only because I knew that's what I was supposed to do. And then I lived there for 30 years. And then one day I met the man I'm married to now, and I knew I had to move myself all the way back again. But it wasn't being in California or now being back in Ohio that is important. It was the trip. And I know that sounds like everybody says that, but I really mean that, because it's a step. When I say step by step, I actually mean that there is, if you do this one thing, it opens the door and then you see another thing to do. But if you don't do that first thing, you don't see the next door. And it doesn't mean that it's exact. So when I first started teaching the shift, I think I taught it Monday nights to like 5 friends and then I said, well, now what'll I do? So it's really, I just kept asking, what shall I do? And then some things worked and some things didn't, but I'm not done. And I think I see too many people get to, the goal is, I mean, in today's world, it could be, the goal is 5,000 subscribers or sell 1 million books or whatever that is, make $1 million, whatever it is. But that'd be like, I'm going to make it to California, which wasn't the point. The point was following directions that took me to California. And then that was a door that opened. And then I met more people while I was there. And those people were the ones that took my first class. And it isn't always direct. That's what I was going to try to get myself to say. It's like, sometimes you hear, like, I say this, like, well, if you hear go outside and tie your shoe on the corner, then go outside, tie your shoe on the corner, because there's a reason for it. It isn't direct. It isn't like sign up 500 people and then you'll be successful. It isn't. It's just, are you following directions? And I think that's the thing I'm trying to learn the most is, who am I listening to? Am I listening to the worldview, which is the material, physical realm, which is only temporary and very much of an illusion? Or am I listening to the one world, the one divine mind, the whatever people call it? It doesn't really matter. It still exists. There's that thing that's behind everything. Are you listening to that? And if I get better at doing that, then that's what I'm here for, is that, and then sharing it, not keeping it to myself, but do something with it. I think that's the thing I'm going to say to most people. It's like, do something with it. You don't retire and say, oh, I'm done. No, you're never done. I go to meetings of people who are my age and they're all retired and talking, I don't know. I want to say, you still have a promise you made to do it. Are you doing it? I don't care how you do it, but are you doing it? And it could be that you go and you paint people's fences for them, or you write a blog, or you go to the grocery store and smile at everybody you see. But are you doing it? You can't just be saying, I'm done and I don't know what to do. You have to do something. If I'm going to say anything, you do something, because that's how you get to the next place.
Yeah. And listening to it and trusting the guidance. Yes. I think that's having the faith piece that is very difficult for people, because it's learning how to trust yourself, going within often enough to be able to hear yourself,
Right.
and to guide yourself. I mean, we are so bombarded and busy with everything that's outside of us that it's impossible for most people to even grasp what the information that's coming through to them. There's so many signs, so many things, and trusting that guidance. And your point on when people just give up, right? Or
Yes.
they're like, I'm done. I'm just going to kind of float through life and retire and mellow out and what have you, or just allow what the world has says and constricted around me, that like
Yes.
this is the job performance that I need to do and meet in order to provide for my family, and that's just it, right? That's
Yeah.
just the construct that I live in, that I refuse to go outside of. And it's fascinating that when we start realizing that it is that construct, and
Yeah.
but yet there's something outside of that, and what if I push beyond that boundary, and what does that look like, and being curious enough about it, and being open enough and spontaneous enough. There's no way you can end anything. The thoughts in our minds are so frequent, so common. I mean, I don't know about you, but as a creator, I'm constantly getting ideas. I can't even
Yeah.
keep up. I couldn't keep up with all of the things that come to my mind to be able to produce and put out into the world. I would have to have many of me, and maybe I do. But and so which rabbit am I going to follow today? And what do I feel like I have the energy for? So
Right.
Becca, this is already a fabulous conversation. I'm going to move into our first commercial, but we have a lot to play off of when we get
Okay.
back.
Sounds
Stay
good.
tuned.
Okay.
Are you ready to take control of your ride to wellness? Rev up with Driven Living. Visit www.drivenliving.com and buckle up for a journey. Get exclusive access to our Wellness Driven Life Show guest portal, where you can dive deep into the minds of our esteemed guests. Sign up for our newsletter and get insider scoops on these distinguished personalities. It's like having a backstage pass to their life-changing wisdom. But that's not all. You'll also receive a free hug. You heard me right, a free hug. An enlightening ebook from the Driven Living team. Discover the science-backed benefits of hugging yourself. It's a fill-up for your wellness tank. Because at Driven Living, we believe in fueling your journey to wellness, both physically and psychologically. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.drivenliving.com today. Welcome back, everyone, here with the incredible Beca Lewis and the conversation of shifting realities, perspectives, all of the things. Now, I get so excited about conversing this with you, Becca. So I talked a lot. Is there anything that popped up for you with all of the things we just said?
Well, I was thinking when you were talking that if people think that they won't make mistakes even when they listen to their internal self, then you will. There's still going to be mistakes. And that the trick is not to fall into the hole of, oh God, I made a mistake and now I can't move again and I'm guilty and I have shame. And it's not fall into that. It's, oh, I made a mistake. I'm allowed to move on. People, you're allowed to, if you go down the freeway, and you miss your sign, you don't feel like, oh, I got to just keep going. You know enough to turn around and go back, and hopefully you don't berate yourself because you missed your sign. And that's really what life is like. There's a lot of mistakes. If people have known me my whole life would say, okay, how many mistakes can one person make? So I've definitely made a lot of mistakes, but I hope that I've learned from them and then moved on from them and made a difference in someone else's life because I made that mistake. It taught me something. So when I talk to people, there's probably nothing anybody could say to me that I don't actually understand because I made a mistake in that realm. So that I feel kind of gifted that happened, because whatever you say, it's like, oh, I get that. So, but it isn't who we are. And I think that's the thing that to learn. I think that's what I wanted to say, but you're allowed to make a lot of mistakes. I coached one person, she'll laugh if she was here. I said, you have to make 150 mistakes this week because she was so stuck. Just how many mistakes can you make? Just go make some mistakes so that you get out of your worry that the world will fall apart. If we make a mistake, it will not. It will just keep on going. So, and that's the other part is this isn't it. This is not, we have a mission in what looks like this reality, but this isn't this isn't, I call this my car. I'm riding around in this car, but this isn't actually who I am. And you're more than your car. There's so much more to the world. Almost not the scientists have some number, but 90% of what is actually here we can't see because our perception has blocked it. So knowing that, and if we accept that the universe, the world, the reality, I call it big R reality. If big R reality is actually an infinite good reality, then if we move our perception to that, then we can expect it to leak in or open up. We can move into that reality more and more instead of going, it's this, it's not this, it's not this. It's fine to live here, but don't think this is who you are and what the world is. It's much more than that. I think that's what I was thinking while you were talking.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that so much because we are so hard on ourselves, and that's what seizes us.
Yes.
We are so stagnated in that and don't want to move forward because we have this ideal that of perfection, or that we need to be this or are supposed to be that. Uh, we have truly created that for ourselves, which is a darn shame. And that's why we're here, because we want to deconstruct all of that for
Yes.
ourselves. And it's a continuous process because it's so ingrained, so innately ingrained. And so it's that consistent reminders and shifting the patterns, because that's what it is. It's the mental rehearsement, the mental patterns
Mm-hmm.
that are continuously cycling. And when we start catching those and being like, oh, I don't want to look at something that way any longer. And
Yeah.
when we start catching them, we know that we're already beginning to change. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's exciting. And so, yeah, absolutely. And I love how you talked about, I've had so many experiences in life. And while as they were very difficult, very challenging, woe is me. And wow, look at the incredible person that I am today. And I can relate with so many people because of it. And when
Right.
you can start to change that story of your past and look at it with inspiration because of who you are today, I mean, that's a miraculous thing too. Now it has become wisdom.
Right. Exactly. That's how you get wisdom. You make mistakes. You
Yep.
listen, you move forward, you make a mistake. Oh, if you were an artist of any kind, nobody expects to sit down and play the piano like a concerto master when they first learned to play the piano. But I think we expect that we start on our path down our life as if we are that master, and we're not. We're just learning. We're practicing the scales about any kind of thing that we learn how to do. So that constant, the world is really awful about doing this to people now and saying you have to look this way, you have to be this way, you have to be perfect right away. And it's not like that at all. We are all, Ralph Waldo Emerson said, be an artist of life. And that's really what we all are, as artists in life. So that takes practice. And we have to just keep practicing and know that, start with the fact that who you really are is a spiritual being and part of the infinite, and then move from there. And it gets a little bit easier. When you make a mistake, you can say, oops, rather than, I think I'll just give up. And that's not a good thing to do. So,
Becca, that was something that I really appreciated about you, is that so many people, you felt, this is what I heard you say on another show or in some of your writings, that you didn't feel heard or understood by others because you always wanted to just help and improve other people. So you're giving
Yeah.
advice, you're saying, hey, can you, you maybe if you did things this way, it might improve your life in this way. And people didn't take kindly to that. They were like, I don't need to be fixed. I don't need to listen to you, or you're too young, or you too this, or whatever, or I've got this, right? And
Right.
I have too experienced that on multiple occasions. And it's this strange lesson to be learning of, well, who's my audience, because I can't help myself.
Yeah,
Like I
exactly.
see things, and that's just me. I just want to show you a different way, or not that it's a better way, it's just another
Different.
way. And
Yeah.
like, what if it works, or what if it doesn't? I don't know, but continue to play with life and try out different things and explore things. And so there's this open-mindedness of you, where you have that and you want to share that, because that's your service to the
Yes.
world.
Right.
And that is what you provide to the world. Maybe that is your soul's purpose,
Yeah.
right? Is to
Right.
be able to do that. And so when we come into the world and we have this innate drive of ourselves, of our soul trying to come out and shine, and and we're getting a lot of like, people don't really care for it. It's like, okay, well, I know this is who I am and this is what I need to be, but where do I do this at? Or maybe it's how I'm perceiving it, right? And so
Right.
I think that that's the beautiful thing of what I've heard you say, is it's not that you have to change others or change something outside of yourself, but it's that internal piece of ourselves of, let's change the story I'm creating in my head about it.
Right. That's very exactly that. And I give you something this might help us. Like, first of all, you can't change anybody if they're not willing. So or help anybody, because we're not changing anybody. We're just uncovering who they are. So I'm not trying to fix you. I just want to show you who you really are, and that
Yes.
would make a
Yes.
difference. But one of the things I used to say to people when they'd ask me something in the beginning, when I was very like not sure who I should say stuff to, I started saying, "Do you want me to answer as Becca, or do you want me to answer as someone who teaches the shift?" And then if they just wanted it as Becca, then I would just be a regular person and not really not do anything other than commiserate or listen. But if they wanted a shift answer, then I had one. And that really helped me. And then I've learned over the years who's willing and how far people are willing. So I really, your audience is the people who are willing to hear what you have to say. And that doesn't mean anybody else is wrong. It's just they're in a different bus. They're going to a different place. They're traveling a different path than you are, which is fine. So recognizing who's willing to go on your trip with you is relieves you a lot of responsibility that you're supposed to be telling everybody, because not everybody's ready. We're all at different places at different times.
And that's the way to look at it, that gives a lot of grace. And it is, and compassion towards others, because it's not thinking that there's something wrong with them or wrong with
Mm-mm.
you. It's just that it is that way. It's a different path, it's a different frequency. If
Yeah.
for those who want to view it that way, everybody's at different vibrations. And so what you want to do is move into the vibrational frequency that your audience is in, right? And they are there. I mean, think about how many human beings we have on the planet.
I know.
And so it's there, and that's the wonderful thing, is that, and the more that you do that, the more you're going to be drawing in those. Becca, I want to shift gears a little bit too. I would love to know what your idea is. You talk about the one truth and the one lie. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah. Yes. The one truth. I'm going to, this is not a religious statement at all. It's actually kind of a quantum physics statement. There's either two minds, both of them powerful, one good, one bad, just to make it really simple, or there's only omnipresent good. You get to choose. So and since perception is reality, I'm choosing that the infinite is all good. So the lie is that's the one truth. And I keep trying to moving myself and hopefully others. I think we make a promise. I have a long story about what I think happens, but a promise that we make. And so I think I made a promise that I would shift perception and lives towards that infinite, towards that idea. So that's the one truth. And when I'm saying that, and then the one lie is that that's not true. So, and that there's two minds and they're equally powerful, or sometimes that evil is more powerful than good, which is actually anybody, when you think about it, is not possible. First, because we see more good than evil, even though, especially maybe right now, it feels like there's a lot of one lies coming up, but it's always the same lie. It's couched in different terms, but it's always saying that bad is just as powerful as infinite good. And that's the lie. So if I start with that can't be true, then I've already started in the right place. I'm starting with there's only one mind and it's good. My perception is that's what's good. I'm going to look for that. I'm going to magnify good. I'm going to see good in other people. I'm going to see kindness in other people. And when you were talking about the world, I was thinking that I have a favorite word these days, and it's no. So when I hear people saying, I don't necessarily say it out loud, but when I hear people saying blah, 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 I say in my mind, no. That I'm not taking that perception in. I'm working hard to get that perception out. So I say no a lot. Or if I tripped the other day, I was out in the garden carrying weird things. I work in the garden lot, and I tripped and fell pretty hard. I said no. Got up and kept going. Now, you would think, oh, sure. But yes, I said no. I did not accept the belief that I'm fell down, hurt myself. Now I can't do anything else. It doesn't mean I wouldn't go take care of myself if I needed to, but the starting with no. And that, so infinite mind would not have me tripping over and having something bad happening to me right now when I'm out in the garden planting beautiful flowers. So more people laugh at me all the time because they'll say something like this might happen, and I'll say, without thinking, I'll say no. So I pass that on, more no's than yeses, so that you can keep your mind on that infinite good is the omnipresent. So that's the one truth. The rest of it is telling a story. Do I want that story? That's the question. Do you ask yourself, do I want that story? I know, and there's lots of times we want this story. Like I could have said, "Oh, yeah, okay, I fell down. I could go get someone could come take care of me, and I could like get off work for a couple of days." And everybody has that temptation. So there's a lot of temptation when things like that happen. But would that be true to who I am? Would that be staying with there's only infinite mind? And you always have to make that decision. I'd rather stay with infinite mind than feel sorry for myself and let someone take care of me for a little while. So
Yeah.
it's always a decision.
I love that, because that's truly taking ownership and accountability for what's happening with you, your experiences.
Yes.
And I love that you say no. And that's exactly, there's too many stories and too much science to back this now of how we perceive things becomes the reality. These healings that people have, what many, I think, would say historically more and more be known as miraculous, and now not so much. It's becoming more common, this is a very exciting time in history, I
Yes.
believe, because of that, because information is spread so quickly, so rapidly. Now we get to know that, wow, this truly is possible, and I truly am more powerful than I ever could have imagined. And now that I know this, what am I going to do with it, and how are we going to play with it? And Becca, you brought in so many wonderful aspects of that, of exactly how to do that. Well, I say no a lot. I cancel out those thoughts right away, so it doesn't become my reality. I don't want those thoughts. And so And then it's the creation part of what story do I want? And
Yes.
that's the beautiful piece of us because we are creative. And we can't be creative if we're living in a state of fear and anxiety. And we all know this. So, being able to be excited and curious puts us into that creative state too. So I love the story form also.
Good. Oh, that's good. I'm glad that made sense.
It made sense to me, and I'm sure it did for many of our viewers. And Becca, you have been such an incredible guest on the Wellness Driven Life Show. I hope that I get to call you friend for
Oh, yes.
ever and ever. I think you're beautiful and wonderful, and thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Oh, I just love it. Thank you, April. I'm just delighted to meet you. It's like such a gift. Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. I want to make sure everyone knows where to find you. We've had it displayed here on the screen for those of you watching. And for those of you listening in, BeccaLewis.com. Easy peasy. Again, BeccaLewis.com. You can find it in the description below. And, just again, Becca, thank you for being our incredible guest on the show. And I want to thank our audience for watching because without you, the show wouldn't be possible.
So true. We need each other. Thank you.
Welcome. Goodbye for now, everyone, and we will see you next time.